Salute, salute, salute. Proper salute. Bow. First of all, man, I'm a little late with this video. I had a busy weekend, but I didn't want to be hasty. I didn't want to rush this video. I wanted to give proper salute, proper respect and due diligence to Devin Haney. Devin the Dream Haney, who showed a high level of discipline, dedication, and displayed it in a fight in hostile territory in somebody else's backyard, to stay composed, to stay confident, to stay locked in to the victory lap, to see it all the way through against what was a decent fighter in George the Ferocious Kambosos. You know what I'm saying? Not a cakewalk fighter, especially in somebody else's backyard, in their homeland. I give complete credit and salute to Devin Haney for making that dream come true, becoming the first in the 4-belt era 135-pound undisputed champion, making history. You know what I'm saying? Putting a stamp on creating a true legacy. I give total credit, total salute, total props, all due respect, everything. You know what I'm saying? I salute that wholeheartedly. It's amazing. It's very, very rare. Do not take it for granted and underappreciate it. I just 100% appreciate it. It almost took a part of my breath away to say, whoa. You know what I'm saying? That's huge. That is major. That's so big. It takes a while to process and digest. You know what I'm saying? It's taking him alone. It's going to take him many, many moons to process it. I know, because even for me, just, being a fan and a spectator, it's taken me a couple of days to really sit here and think and process how huge that is, how big that is, what kind of accomplishment that is. That's something that's going to last forever. That puts Devin Haney on a different level for me, respect-wise, as a fighter, and his skills, and his mentality, and his heart, and his tenacity, and everything about Devin Haney has been elevated even higher now. You know what I'm saying? So proper salute to Devin Haney. Amazing accomplishment. Can't say enough. Absolutely 100% outstanding. You know what I'm saying? He deserves a standing ovation. Salute to Devin Haney. Now, George the Ferocious Kambosos, normally I would say that he has nothing to hang his head low about, and he really doesn't. And his fans and his homeland and his countrymen, they don't have anything to really hang their head low about. He got outboxed by a skillful boxer. But there was other things. I didn't really pay attention. I had a busy weekend. But there's other things that I kind of missed that I've been kind of gleaming over, where like when he missed weight, to me, that shows something about that. And that situation just doesn't make any sense at all. I really haven't looked into it 100%. I know he said something about that was like a mental tactic, or that was strategy. But for him to miss weight in a fight of this magnitude, for his hometown journeyman or countryman to miss weight, to me, that showed like a lack of professionalism that I can't understand at this moment. And the way he fought in that fight, I was surprised by his lack of showing that urgency to go to his most highest level possible, because no doubt about it, he knew he was outskilled. You know what I'm saying? But to never try to go into another gear or just to make it more of a fight, because you're not going to. I was surprised that he was trying to, for the whole 12 rounds, he was just simply trying to outbox Devin Haney, who is the superior boxer. And anybody who knows anything about boxing knows skill-wise, skill set levels is just too much of a gap between George Kambosos versus Devin Haney. And in your own home backyard, in your own homeland with your countrymen, I was surprised that I never seen George make the attempt to just turn it into a brawl, turn it into a fight, and make it like, a kicking up dust in a murky fight to where you just hustling and trying to, rough tactics and anything like that. I mean, the focus on the fight, because I'm taking nothing, absolutely nothing away from Devin Haney. I say 100% of that was Devin Haney. Just constantly resetting Kambosos with the jab, handicapping George, disarming George, fighting to George, whatever his stress was, he was taking it away. George was looking for the right hand, kind of loading up on the right hand, looking for the right hand. He was overthrowing it. He was swinging into the ropes. Once Devin Haney found his rhythm, he was ducking and rolling under shots. I was very impressed with the range that Devin Haney fought in. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few times I really seen Devin Haney even fight. You know what I'm saying? Or they say George said, oh, he was running. And I'm like, I only seen Devin Haney maybe in the later rounds, a few times, even go into more defensive, going backwards, fighting off his back foot. The rest of the time, he pretty much stayed right there in mid-range and just worked his jab. You know what I'm saying? Just constantly, his defense and his footwork was his shield. And he could stay right at that mid-range and he couldn't get touched, period. You know what I'm saying? He was just too fast. Boxing skill level was too experienced, and his jab was right there. And he had the 1-2s. He just had all his arsenal, all his tools was sharp, period. And George the Ferocious Kambosos had nothing. He had nothing. I really didn't give him a round. I'll be honest, if I had to think, I think now, I have to go rewatch it, but I think I maybe gave him 1 round. And maybe another round where I say he put in some kind of work that I could see a judge giving him that round, but really I didn't give him a round. He got shut out, completely shut out. And it wasn't because Devin Haney was being like so defensive where he was on a bicycle. He really didn't have to be on his bicycle at all. There's only a few times where I felt like Devin Haney had to kind of reset himself and go on his back foot a little bit. And then when he would come right back into mid-range, he just reestablished the same rhythm, had the same guard. He was loose with it. And when he had to be tight, he had to be tight. But most of the time he had his guards down and he could just pop that jab out there. And then whenever he felt like he was trying to come in with some pressure, he would just hit you with a 1-2. And he scraped up George the Ferocious Kambosos, marked him up. He still, he has his style. Sometimes it's not a fan-friendly style. Sometimes it can lull you into feeling like the fight isn't explosive and electric. But at the same time, when you pay attention to the sweet science behind what Devin Haney's doing, you just have to salute it. You have to pay attention and pick up on all those little intricate, meticulous things that he's doing to keep George Ferocious Kambosos completely neutralized with the feints. You know what I'm saying? He just completely neutralized George Ferocious Kambosos with feints and jabs and footwork. It was impressive. You know what I'm saying? It was very impressive. But George Ferocious Kambosos, I can't say I was disappointed, but I was surprised that he didn't just try to brawl out. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't box a boxer if you're not on his level. You have to brawl, and in your own backyard, you got judges, your whole, you know what I'm saying? It's even his hype man, his corner man was like, you have your son waving that belt around. You have your daughter here waving that belt. All your people behind you. You know what I'm saying? You have to fight this guy. And George the Ferocious Kambosos came out there and was doing the same thing over and over and over. Pretty much a whole lot of nothing. You know what I'm saying? A whole lot of nothing. Just sitting there, just looking like he just couldn't outthink. It was chess. It was just chess game where he just couldn't even move his pawns. He really just was sitting there the whole time with no clue of what to do to get through. And he would every once in a while load up on these right hands, and it just was so telegraphed and so he's just not on the same level as Devin Haney as far as boxing. And it just showed. And I thought he would at least try to sell out a couple of times to where he would go in there and just do some roughhouse. And he didn't do any of that. He got completely, dismantled. And salute to Devin Haney for showing the skills and the technical ability to break that man down. Now, let me move on, because it's like we still got to talk about like the Devin Haneys and Shakur Stevensons and Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. Now, they all had fights. Now, Ryan Garcia had the easiest go with Emmanuel to go. And he was the least impressive, to be honest with you. Shakur Stevenson had Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez still was a dangerous guy. He knocked out Burchell. He had a tough little fight against Robson, son. You know what I'm saying? But he was a pure threat. He had a lot to prove. He was trying to beat down these, allegations of the T and the, PEDs. He went in there with Shakur Stevenson with the most to lose. And Shakur Stevenson showed elite level boxing, period. He showed all around game and a little taste of power too, where he set his man down when he wanted to. What's the main comparison is Devin Haney versus Gervonta Tank Davis. That's what the main talk is. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis fought against the big mouth, the champion trash talker, Rolando Romero. Now, he was the less skilled of the fighters. Between Emmanuel to go, between Oscar Valdez, and between George the Ferocious Kambosos, Rolando was the least skilled, but he was also dangerous because awkward, strong, big, and powerful, with power to knock you out. You know what I'm saying? And confident, supremely, ignorantly confident. So he had his dangerous abilities and he had his lack of skills that you could take advantage of. George the Ferocious Kambosos was a C-level, B-level skilled fighter, not a lot of power to speak of, but at the same time, he has all the belts. He just came off of a victory against the man that beat the man, Teofimo Lopez, who beat Lomachenko, and he's in his own backyard. So even though he's not the most powerful, even though he's not the most skilled, he still has all the advantages. He has higher ground. So I would say it's somewhat equal of a dangerous fight between Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolando Romero and Devin Haney versus George Kambosos, but I gotta lean towards Devin Haney. Devin Haney had the stigma of the email champion. He had to go in this man's backyard. He had to go through the craziest contract negotiation. You know what I'm saying? And he had the situation with his father almost not being able to come to the fight and be his coach and his cornerman and everything like that. He didn't have his guy to work his cuts, to put the swelling down. He didn't have Ben Davison. I mean, he had he had more going against him. You've seen this a few times where I seen him, he was standing alone. He had his crew with him, but sometimes he was standing alone, like a man on his own 10 toes. Gervonta Tank Davis, he didn't have Mayweather with him, but he still had Leonard Ellaby. He still had his team and Coach Calvin, and he was still supremely confident knowing he was fighting somebody that wasn't on his level, who just had power, who really didn't have great training with, Bullet. That dude really, to me, is sort of, he's a hype man. He can get you confident, but he's not going to give you no skills. Gervonta Tank Davis was telling the man to shut the fuck up right before he knocked out his fighter. So they all had tough fights besides Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia didn't have a tough fight. He's not even in this conversation, really. I think they all beat him. Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Gervonta Tank Davis, they all beat Ryan Garcia. Mentally, he just doesn't have the tenacity. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. Ryan Garcia is really not in the conversation. Shakur Stevenson is a lower weight class, but if he jumps up, fights one more fight at 135 and shows me something, the same thing he showed me against Oscar Valdez, and the same thing that he showed me against the veteran, His name just escaped me. But if he shows me the same thing that he did against Oscar Valdez, and when y'all watch this video, y'all let me know the fight I was thinking of. Who did he he take the strap from and he knocked him out? Obviously, the same dude that fought in the camp with Bo Mack and Terrence Bud Crawford. His name will come right back to me as soon as I finish this video. I promise you that. But Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney, ultimate chess match. Ultimate chess match. And right now I got to give a little bit more lenience to Devin Haney because he just showed me something that was more impressive. You know what I'm saying? Like when Shakur Stevenson fought Oscar Valdez, it was more Oscar Valdez fans, but he didn't have to go into that man's backyard like that and go all the way over here and make way and do it. Just was there was apples and oranges. What Devin Haney just did was a little bit more impressive than Shakur Stevenson beating Oscar Valdez. And I do not know why I can't think of the guy's name that he fought. Same guy that beat Carl Frampton to take his belt. He beat the Jackal. Jamel Herring. Salute to Jamel Herring. But like I said, chess match, boxers, chess match. Everybody who loves the sweet science would love to see Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney. I may have seen a few clips of them sparring before. Shakur Stevenson, I like him a little bit more as a fighter. The way his fighting style, not as a person, but his fighting style, to me, I like to watch it a little bit more than Devin Haney. But at the same time, I was really impressed with Devin Haney in his last couple of fights. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the most power in the world. He's not knocking out Yuriorkis Gamboa the same way, Isaac Cruz knocked him out, or, Gervonta Tank Davis knocked him out, or Terrence Bud Crawford knocked him out. He's going to outbox you. He's going to pop shot you. He's going to dominate you and pitch a shutout. But can he do that against Shakur Stevenson? I doubt it. Can he do that against Gervonta Tank Davis? Hopefully we get an opportunity to see those fights happen. I'm not going to talk about any weaknesses I see in Devin Haney against Gervonta Tank Davis. I will say when Devin Haney was fighting Jojo Diaz, who's not that much bigger than Gervonta Tank Davis, there were times when Jojo Diaz was able to figure out Devin Haney and land some punches. Unlike Kambosos. Kambosos was completely gun shy. He really didn't have any. He only landed a couple of punches that I saw. You know what I'm saying? That stand out. But Gervonta Tank Davis, to me, is a whole different beast. And what he showed me in his last couple of fights against Isaac Cruz, where he was boxing on the back foot with one arm, one hand, similar to Gary Russell versus Mark, what was his name? Max Sayal or whatever. Gervonta Tank Davis showed that ability to box when he fought Rolly Romero, who was bigger than him, strong, sloppy, awkward. He showed me the ability to set traps and box. Him versus Devin Haney, I'm not even going to talk about what I think will happen right now. All I'm saying is I hope to see that fight. But right now is the time for me to completely give the ultimate props to all these guys that I mentioned in this video, but specifically and especially to Devin Haney right now. He deserves all his flowers and his due. Give him his due and his credit for what he was able to accomplish. So props to Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? I applaud you, give you your kudos, give you your props, give you everything for doing what you did and accomplishing your dream, making history. You know what I'm saying? Stamping your legacy straight like that. It's saluted. And hopefully we get to see you fight against maybe Lomachenko. I forgot about Lomachenko, but maybe Devin Haney versus Lomachenko will finally happen. But the fights I'm really, like, in my mind, where I automatically went to that I thought would be ultimate fights for Devin Haney, I think he deserves a showcase fight with those belts and go in there and have a little kind of a mid to easy touch for him to show off his style, maybe even get a knockout against somebody. And then I think I would like to see him go into a fight, honestly, against Gervonta Tank Davis. That fight is already built in. He was talking shit. Gervonta Tank Davis said, look, I want the winner between you and Kambosos since you was talking this shit. You know what I'm saying? You was talking crazy. Now you got to come see me. And Devin Haney said, once he got these belts, he wasn't going to play this whole game of trying to keep away and run away. And you know what I'm saying? I could see him maybe moving up a weight class, because he definitely looked like that last cut before him going into 135. You could see that's a tough cut. He's a big 135er. But all those dudes is big 135ers besides Tank. But Tank already went up to 140 and fought Mario Barrios. So even if he went to 140, I don't see no problem for Gervonta Tank Davis going to 140. Only person I see not just jumping up to 140 is Shakur Stevenson, because he's been fighting down at the lower weight class. But he's a big boy too. You can see stress marks all on his shoulders. That boy is a big boy. He has no problem. He would have no problem going up to 140. But I would like to see him still make the proper steps, calculate his steps, go to 135, have a fight there, go to 140. You know, it'd be a harder fight to see him against Devin Haney. I don't want to see Ryan Garcia. Lomachenko deserves his shot, because he was impressive against Nakatani, and he was impressive against the other guy, Richard Coleman. He was impressive, period, point blank. So if he comes from his situation with Ukraine and Russia and he decides to fight, I think he should be lined up with Devin Haney. But other than that, Devin Haney, showcase fight, and then I would absolutely love to see what would happen between Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis. That's, to me, a super fight. Shakur Stevenson, anybody, Devin Haney between Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, and Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, they all would be great fights. But against Gervonta Tank Davis, that's a super mega fight. Against Shakur Stevenson, that's a great fight. Against Lomachenko, you know, that'd also be a great fight. I want to see a super fight. I want to see Devin Haney versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Period. And if you build that fight a little bit longer, I'll be more hyped to see that fight damn near than Terrence Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence. The truth. That's all my thoughts. I had to make this video a little longer because it's a couple of days late. So I appreciate y'all bearing with me. This is Boxing Nocturnal Thoughts. Let me know about what y'all think in the comments below. I take my hat off to Devin Haney. George the Ferocious Kambosos, back to the drawing board. I would like to see him fight Teofimo Lopez again, to be honest. But I'm gone, man. Bow, 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 bow. Salute.